France's latest declaration regarding the Future Combat Air System, FCAS, program has sent a clear message to its European partners: the country is ready to continue alone if cooperation fails. Dassault Aviation CEO, Éric Trappier, emphasized that France possesses both the industrial capacity and the technological expertise to develop the centerpiece of the project, the New Generation Fighter, NGF, independently of Germany and Spain. This announcement adds another layer of complexity to a program already challenged by political tensions, industrial rivalries, and diverging national requirements. At its core, the statement reflects not just a threat, but a calculated reminder of France's long-standing tradition of defense autonomy and its determination to safeguard its strategic interests. The FCAS initiative, launched in 2017, was intended to symbolize European unity in defense and security. With France, Germany, and Spain as primary stakeholders, the project was conceived as the most ambitious aerospace program on the continent, aimed at producing a sixth-generation air combat system by around 2040. The scope extends beyond building a single aircraft. Instead, the concept revolves around a system of systems that integrates a manned stealth fighter, a family of unmanned drones or remote carriers, and a digital combat cloud designed to fuse sensors and distribute information across multiple platforms. The intent is to ensure superiority in contested environments, where speed of decision-making, survivability, and coordination across air, land, sea, and space will define operational success. Yet, despite the shared vision, the project has consistently stumbled on questions of governance and work-share. Dassault, designated as prime contractor for the NGF, insists on retaining design authority to avoid bureaucratic deadlock. Airbus, acting on behalf of Germany and Spain, has pressed for greater influence in the fighter's development, arguing that a balanced partnership demands equal participation in decision-making. This tug-of-war is not merely about prestige, it determines who sets technical priorities, controls intellectual property, and secures a leading role in Europe's defense industry for decades to come. The inability to reconcile these disputes risks undermining the project's credibility, particularly as timelines slip and rivals, both in the United States and Asia, move forward with their own sixth-generation platforms. Technical disagreements further complicate matters. France favors a lighter NGF configuration of approximately 15 tons, optimized for compatibility with future aircraft carriers and naval aviation missions. Germany, by contrast, pushes for a heavier 18-ton design suited to long-range air superiority roles. This divergence is not a trivial matter of preference. Aircraft weight directly impacts propulsion requirements, range, payload, and development schedules. A heavier jet promises more fuel and weapons capacity, but also demands a more powerful engine, prolonging research and increasing costs. The propulsion pillar, shared among Safran, MTU Aero engines, and ITP Aero, cannot finalize its work until a clear mass target is established. The longer the partners debate, the greater the risk that 2040 will slip out of reach, potentially leaving Europe with aging Rafales and Eurofighters as its primary combat assets in the decades ahead. Operationally, the NGF is designed to act not as a solitary platform but as a central node within a network of distributed assets. Drones of varying sizes will accompany the fighter, extending its sensor reach, conducting electronic warfare, or carrying additional weapons. This concept distributes risk, enhances survivability, and allows the manned aircraft to minimize exposure in high-threat environments. In practice, the NGF could detect a target while remaining outside enemy air defenses, delegate the approach to a drone acting as a forward sensor or jammer, and deliver weapons through another unmanned platform. The combat cloud ensures that all players share a common operational picture, compressing the time between detection, identification, and engagement. Should the network be degraded by electronic attack, the NGF will still retain autonomous capabilities, relying on onboard sensors and advanced weapons such as Meteor and Mica-NG missiles. The promise of this architecture lies in its adaptability to multi-domain operations. In an era where electronic warfare, cyber attacks, and long-range precision fires blur traditional boundaries, possessing a system that can integrate new sensors, effectors, and software rapidly is critical. FCAS aims to incorporate open mission systems, enabling upgrades without the long delays associated with legacy platforms. By embedding flexibility at the design stage, the project aspires to keep pace with evolving threats over decades of service. However, achieving this requires early agreement on interfaces, cybersecurity standards, and interoperability protocols. Delays in governance threaten to lock in compromises that may weaken the program's resilience against the very challenges it is meant to counter. From a strategic perspective, France's hardline stance must be viewed in the context of its national doctrine. Unlike Germany or Spain, France maintains an independent nuclear deterrent, with the airborne component playing a central role. The NGF is expected to support this mission, which raises the stakes for Paris in ensuring the fighter meets its precise operational needs. Any dilution of design authority risks jeopardizing France's ability to sustain credible nuclear delivery options. Moreover, France's experience with the Rafale, developed after disagreements forced it out of the Eurofighter project in the 1980s, demonstrates that Paris is both willing and able to go its own way if necessary. The Rafale, though initially criticized for high costs, ultimately proved a commercial success, serving not only France but also multiple export customers. This historical precedent reinforces the credibility of Trappier's warning. At the industrial level, the FCAS program represents billions in investment and the future of Europe's aerospace ecosystem. Ensuring that work share aligns with political expectations while preserving efficiency is a delicate balancing act. National industries seek to secure long-term jobs and technological leadership, yet overdistribution of responsibilities risks fragmentation and inefficiency. France argues that clear leadership roles, particularly for the NGF, are necessary to avoid endless validation loops. Germany and Spain, however, are wary of being relegated to secondary roles, fearing this would reduce their influence in shaping Europe's airpower future. Reconciling these competing interests will determine whether FCAS becomes a true cooperative success or another example of European overambition colliding with national ego. Internationally, time is running short. The United States is advancing its next-generation air dominance, NGAD, program, while the United Kingdom, Italy, and Japan are jointly pursuing the Global Combat Air Program, GCAP. Both initiatives target similar timelines and aim to define the next generation of combat aviation. If FCAS falls behind, Europe risks losing technological parity and market relevance in a domain that underpins both national security and industrial competitiveness. The possibility of fragmented programs, France moving alone, Germany seeking alternative partnerships, Spain recalibrating its commitments, could leave Europe divided at a moment when collective defense has rarely been more important. France's warning thus functions as both leverage and insurance. On one hand, it pressures Germany and Spain to accelerate negotiations and accept clearer governance structures. On the other, it reassures French policymakers that the country retains strategic autonomy regardless of the program's outcome. Whether this approach leads to renewed cooperation or eventual rupture remains to be seen. What is clear is that the stakes extend far beyond the development of a fighter jet. They touch on the credibility of European defense cooperation, the balance of power within its industrial base, and the ability of the continent to shape its own security architecture in the face of global competition. As the calendar moves closer to 2040, the urgency grows. The current fleets of Rafale and Eurofighter will not remain competitive indefinitely, and the rapid evolution of military technologies demands decisions today that will shape Europe's air power for the rest of the century. The FCAS program still holds the potential to deliver an integrated, flexible, and powerful system capable of ensuring Europe's strategic autonomy. But without decisive governance and aligned priorities, the vision risks disintegrating into fragmented efforts and lost opportunities. France has made its position clear: it will not allow hesitation to compromise its security. Whether its partners share the same resolve will decide the future of Europe's most ambitious defense project.